Hey everybody, welcome to your weekly astrology reading for the week of March 7th. Totally almost forgot week it even is. I don't even know what day it is. I think this is very appropriate because we have this Pisces supermoon solar eclipse happening on March 8th. I think that this is probably going to dominate the week for sure. Probably even already has in a lot of ways. This can even be like, the first thing that comes to mind with this solar eclipse is actually making weird connections as well. I think, today I was on a walk and I was making some pretty strange connections between other things that I've never thought of before. So a lot of you could be doing that. I think a little bit of that Pisces psychic element is coming in here. But let's take a look at this eclipse here. It's happening at I have it at 8:55 p.m. That's going to be Eastern time. Some people have it at like 8:54 at 19 degrees. I have it at like 18 degrees. I don't know. It seems like I've been looking at a bunch of people's talking about this eclipse, and it seems like it's all over the place. But I think I'm going to use 18 degrees. It's at like 18.5 degrees, something like that. Not really important, but what is important is that a bunch of other planets are at 18 degrees. And, I think that this is playing into this whole eclipsing that's going on. So let's just talk about what this eclipse is actually going to be doing first. And I think it's going to be, of course, like the typical eclipse, making us try to make our goals into reality, and making us, even because it is this supermoon and everything, things coming to an ending, and maybe starting new things. But to me, this eclipse also feels like a much more of starting new things. I think what's going to be important as well is to break patterns of laziness and to get over these laziness patterns that maybe we have fallen into. It's also about strengthening our weaknesses and things, which we're actually going to talk about in just a second. But, laziness, I think, is going to be highlighted under this eclipse, especially because it's in Pisces. Pisces, us Pisces people, if you're a Pisces, we can definitely get a little bit lazy, and laziness hurts. I was on it really. So this is one of those connections I made when I was on my walk today. I walk down this certain path, and every single day that I walk down this path is littered with lottery tickets. There are just lottery tickets all over the place, and constantly new lottery tickets as well. So it's clearly one person who just keeps chucking their lottery tickets out onto the ground here. And, what I was thinking about as I was watching and seeing this, and today it kind of clicked for me. I was like, this person will never win the lottery. They're just throwing it away every single time, and they're just being lazy with it. They're not actually putting out into the universe that they actually want to win. So that might be a little bit, of a stretch there, to think like that. But at the same time, I was like, this person will never win. They're extremely lazy. This probably is reflected in the rest of their life as well. So they'll never win in life in general. So, I think that really is kind of interesting that I noticed that today. It's happening, near this eclipse and everything. And this eclipse wants us to look at areas where maybe we're throwing away lottery tickets, where we're getting lazy, areas that we need to strengthen and things like that. I think this eclipse has a big kind of, it's you coming to a big understanding of your weaknesses and where you need to create more strength and things like that. I think it's also about letting go of old ideas. I talked about this last week a little bit because I think it's been highlighted over the past few weeks in the signs and things that we're kind of areas where we have built these crutches and little places that make us feel comfortable are maybe now showing up as a weakness, and we need to kind of get rid of these things and clear through them and allow new things to come in so we can really move forward from just past issues and past things. I think we developed crutches in certain areas so that we could get through difficult periods of time, and now it's time to let go of those things and to kind of start not being so safe, maybe taking some more risks and things like that. It's really a good time to also look at things and look at easier ways of doing things. It's about, sometimes we get stuck doing things the hard way when there's something that's so much easier that we could do. Think about all these TV shows out there where, all these restaurant shows where people go in and save restaurants and things like that. I mean, it's so interesting how TV has totally, I think I watch TV. I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, I see how the astrology is totally reflected in TV. And, over the past few years, there's been this, like, people doing things the hard way and being totally resistant to somebody coming in and doing things the easy way. Even if we watch shows like The Prophet or even on Shark Tank, sometimes you see these people who are just doing things that are just so difficult. They're doing everything the hard way when there might just allowing somebody else's ideas to come in could give you an easier way to do things. I think that's going to be highlighted under this eclipse as well, opening up to other people, opening up to new ideas, and allowing for easier things to come to us as well. And again, allow new things to come in here. I think also this spirit, this is a spiritual eclipse as well. A lot of us could be kind of developing more spiritually, especially if, this eclipse hits in certain areas of the chart that have to do with spirituality. The eclipse is also going to be semi-sextiling Uranus. And I think this is about, number one, surprises. Of course, I think there could be a lot of surprises with this eclipse. Maybe not such great surprises either. Maybe even on a global scale, there could be some, upsetting surprises and things like that. But I think that with Uranus, it's all about not having any expectations about what these surprises are going to be. I think it's just allowing things to happen. I think also under Uranus, especially how it's like kind of semi-sextiling this eclipse here, it's all about being original and allowing for new original things. Again, kind of hitting on that newness, that allowing new things to come to you. Pluto is going to be also sextiling this eclipse. It's kind of like heavily aspected, at least the way I see it. And to me, with this Pluto sextiling the eclipse, it's all about being optimistic and also cooperating with yourself more, not fighting against yourself. I think sometimes we can fight against things that we know we should be doing, things that we're not doing, and we make our own lives more difficult for ourselves. So I think with this Pluto here, it's also about looking at areas in our lives where we could make it easier for ourselves to also get ahead. This whole thing is going to be opposing Jupiter at the moment, and Jupiter's retrograde, of course, and this makes us want to, take some chances on some things. And I think the important thing here with taking chances is to make sure that the other side is like really solid. It's kind of like, with the whole eclipse opposing Jupiter thing or Jupiter opposing the whole eclipse, it's kind of like Evel Knievel here, taking off on a ramp and definitely needing to make sure that the other side, the ground is solid and everything so that you don't just fall through or totally miss the jump completely, because I think this really makes us want to move forward and everything like that. But again, I think it's also about taking calculated risks with this, but they can be some good risks as well. Next thing that I noticed is we have also, right under Jupiter, we have the North Node is going to be in Virgo, and I think that this is making us look at things that we're missing. So I think it's important, if you're going to be taking risks after this eclipse, I think it's important to look at maybe what are the little pieces that we're missing, what do we need to strengthen. And it's also about things kind of locking in. That's the other side of this, is like a lot of you could have these epiphanies where things just come together. This is where two weird ideas that you have come together and make something. There's all this types of energy going on here, with this. And I think a lot of this is also about seeing your dreams. I think a lot of us are seeing kind of our dreams and our fantasies come true here, which is great. And I think we need to have these dreams, but I think with the North Node here in Virgo, because we just need to make these things real, but we need to be extremely practical at how we try to make our dreams a reality, especially with this eclipse. And we also need to look at all the tiny little details of how we're going to do that. So, a kind of another thing that I think is backing up that whole opposite Jupiter thing there, saying that you need to be very specific and very sure before you take those risks, but it's also a good time to take those risks as well. We also have Jupiter is going to be in conjunct Uranus. These two are both at 18 degrees. Again, with this 18 degrees thing, I know some astrologers are saying that this eclipse is at 19 degrees, which it probably, it's pretty close there. But again, these two are at 19 or about 18 degrees. And they're in conjunct. And again, I think with Uranus, it's about not trying to predict anything. I think we're going to be tempted to because we can see the future right now, because we can be very dreamy, and it's like we have all these ideas of where we're going, but I think we also need to be not tempted to try to predict where we're going. I think we need to be open to other things as well. Because of these two Uranus things working together here, there's so much unpredictability, and I think because of the eclipse, it's adding to the unpredictability. I think we need to allow for other options. Sometimes when we could see the future and we see something coming in, we get very fixed on how we're going to accomplish accomplish that goal and we don't open up to everything else that's going on. So I think this is about seeing the goal, but also being open to maybe some other ideas and some other things that could potentially come to us. I think that Jupiter in conjunct Uranus is also about being extremely disciplined and in being disciplined in going for that goal and setting up a new discipline. You know, we have in a couple weeks, we have Mars going retrograde, which can make us a little bit lazy, and I think that it's a great time to step off on the right foot here with this eclipse, and maybe even a couple days after the eclipse, to get kind of on some sort of routine of working towards your goals, so that when Mars does go retrograde, did I say Jupiter a second ago? I hope not, but when Mars is what I meant to say, when Mars goes retrograde here, you know, we can be starting it off on the right foot and already kind of in some sort of a flow where we're working towards whatever it is that we're working towards. And, you know, make sure also to not spread yourself too thin. I think if we take everything that's going on here and we look at it, it's all about looking at doing what's exactly important to us right now, what's going to have the biggest impact. You know, business people and stuff talk about the 80-20 rule. This is very similar. We want to be looking at what we're doing to reach our goals that has the biggest impact and doing that like 80% of the time and getting rid of everything else and only doing what's important. I think that's kind of like an important thing here during this eclipse. I think it's also, you know, I'm looking at the ascendant as well is in Libra, and I think that this is about how we need to stop hemorrhaging as well. Even as a society, even globally and things, we look at laws, for example, and it's like there's constantly new laws being passed. And I think what we're seeing in the astrology is actually all of this coming to an ending, all these laws and things like that. And the problem with laws is that they don't actually stop the hemorrhaging. They don't stop issues. They don't stop anything, or else people wouldn't break laws. And we have these laws, and I think all this astrology is also making us realize is that we have laws because we don't have solutions. And I think that with the ascendant in Libra here, you're going to realize where you need solutions so that you can stop the hemorrhaging in your own life. So thank you for watching. Definitely have a great eclipse. I think it'll be very surprising and exciting.